Hello everyone and welcome to this Hello World libGDX tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be covering how to create the default libGDX project, how to import the project into a few IDEs, and finally we'll make some changes to the default project. Now the footage that's currently playing in the background is a video titled libGDX is good for you. It's really just a trailer for libGDX. If you're new to libGDX, I highly recommend you check it out just to get an idea what people are doing with libGDX and what has been done with libGDX in the past. Firstly, go to libgdx.badlogic.com or just Google libGDX, it should be the first link. Then navigate to the download tab. Click the really big download setup app button, you really can't miss it. A jar file should start to download, it's only a meg or two so it should be really quick. Next, navigate to the location where you saved the file and double click to run it. Now for these fields, the name is just the general name of the project, the package is where your main game folder is going to be stored. The game class is the name of the main game folder, and the destination is where the project's going to be created. Just be sure to make a note of that. And then uncheck every box except the desktop box. These are the subprojects and the extensions. We're not going to worry about any of those for now. Then click Generate. If this is the first time you're doing it, it might take a while as it needs to download some Gradle dependencies, but here it was nearly instant. Now for this video, I'm going to be using IntelliJ. But there will be some clips at the end on showing you how to import the projects using NetBeans and Eclipse. But for IntelliJ users, you just click the Import Project button, navigate to where you created your project file. For me, it is under my desktop. And then import it. Now, this is important for IntelliJ users. It is a Gradle project. Now click Next, use Auto Import, and then click Finish. From here, IntelliJ will do the rest for us and import the project. It may take a second or two though. Cool, here we go. Next, navigate to the Desktop Launcher class. Now, if we had to try run this, it should fail. Cool, there we go. So it's failing because it can't locate the badlogic.jpg asset. Now that's because we need to set the location of the asset folder. To do that, we go Run, Edit Configurations, and then locate your asset folder. For this project, it's under Core Assets. Let's click on that, make sure the working directory is pointing to your assets folder. Click Apply, then it should run smoothly. Cool, there we go. So this is what the default libGDX project looks like. It's just a square window with the BadLogic Games image and a red background. Now, NetBeans users won't have to set the location of the assets folder, and I don't think Eclipse users will have to do it either. So this is what the default libGDX project looks like. It's a class that extends an application adapter, has three methods, create, render, and dispose, and two variables, a sprite batch and an image to be rendered. Now, it's important to note that the variables are not declared in a constructor, but rather in the create method. This is because libGDX does some backend OpenGL initialization stuff that needs to be run at a specific time, and if we had to initialize these variables when the object was created, it would crash. So the render method runs every frame and renders everything to the screen. This render method sets the clear color, clears the color bit buffer, and then begins the sprite batch, renders the image at 0, 0, and then ends the sprite batch. The dispose method runs when the application is closed and cleans all memory persistent variables. Now, let's make this a little bit more interesting. What I'm going to do is just write a little bit of code that will allow us to control the location of this image using the arrow keys. So if you have a look here, the image is being rendered at 0, 0. Now we need to store the location of the image in a variable. We could use two ints or an int array, but I'm going to use a vector2 called position. If any of you are familiar with OWJGL, vector2 is the libGDX equivalent to vector2f. So we need to declare the variable and then initialize it to a new vector2 at, let's say, location 50, 50. And we need a semicolon, of course. Then each time we render the image, we want to render it at position.x and position.y. So if we run this, the image should be rendered at 50, 50. Let's And there we go, it's being rendered no longer in the corner of the screen, but I assume 50 units up and 50 units to the right. So now we want to detect whether an arrow key is being pressed, and if the arrow key is being pressed, translate the image accordingly. So firstly, we're going to create a new method called update. Update is going to take a float value for delta time, or pretty stock standard stuff, and let's create a new float called speed, and speed is going to be a base value of, say, 100 times delta time. So if gdx.input.isKey pressed, then keys.up, for the up arrow key, you want position.y plus equals speed. Then each time on every frame, we're going to want to call this update method and pass in delta time, which we can get from gdx.graphics.getDeltaTime. Cool. So what I'm expecting this to do is when we run it, it should move up when we press the up arrow key. And yep, there we go. So now we just need to copy paste this and set it up for the other directional keys. They are up, down, left, right, and then translate the position accordingly. So if down is pressed, down, we want to minus speed from the Y position. If right is pressed, we want to plus speed to the X position. And if left is pressed, we want to minus speed from the X position. Now this should give us complete control over the image. Cool, and there we go. We have successfully downloaded the libGDX app setup tool, created the default project, imported the default project, and made some changes to it to make it a little bit more interactive. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope it was useful. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments, and let me know if you want to see more videos like it. It's pretty easy to open a libGDX project with NetBeans. Firstly, you need to download the Gradle plugin. This can be done using the NetBeans plugin manager. Once the plugin has been downloaded, you'll need to restart your IDE for the plugin to install. Once restarted, you should be able to open the project as any other project. It's important to note that you'll need to have the desktop launcher class open and selected in order to run it.